So the ranking factors can initially be broken down into, there's on-site factors which contribute to about 60% of the ranking power, and then there's off-site factors which is about 30%, and then there's the other stuff, the user clicks, what rank print does, which is about 10%, but that's increasing in number, and these percentages are just hypothetical. This is what's floating around currently in amongst the experts. Of course, experts do have their own opinion, different people, but this is what I've heard from various sources. So, on-site factors are things like the URL silo, the actual structuring of your the way you structure your URL, how you name it. So don't have your URL parameters and unfriendly looking URLs. That's important. And there's page name, like what do you call your page? And then there's the title tag. Then there's the H1 tag. There's internal links. How you interlink the pages on your site, telling Google which are the important pages. So you need to tell Google, pass more links down internally to the important pages that you want to rank internally, in the sense when you're linking from one page to another page on your website. I'm not talking about backlinks, off-page backlinks. I'm talking about purely on-site. You need to structure your site in such a way that that the most important pages of your site have the maximum backlinks coming from within your site, from your other pages. So if your home page is the most important, then your other internal pages need to link to your home page. Then there's schema, which is schema tags, rich snippets. This is a very important factor right now, because you're seeing that happening in the search results, right? When you query a lot of the stuff, the answer comes within the page. You don't have to really visit the site anymore. You see these rich schema markups. Like if you're looking for a movie, the IMDb thing is a rich snippet. It's Google understands the data on the page. It files it in its own database in that exact manner, using the schema markup that you use on your website, and then it can serve it out to users. The ratings, and then the actors, and then the movie image, and then the release date. All these are like schema tags. So they've done it well. So of course, even the knowledge graph and things like that. So, and not just the IMDb rich snippets. There's like a ton of things query Google with a question like which is the biggest planet, and you'll see the answer coming up right there, and then you'll see the source of the answer. Sorry. Then there's offsite factors. Offsite factors, of course, are backlinks. Then whether it's a no-follow link or a do-follow. Then topical mentions. This is sites that are in your niche. If they mention your brand, not with the link. I'm not talking about a link. I'm just talking about a mention. So if they just mention your brand name with the .com or without the .com or what have you, without the link, that's going to help you rank. Then there's offsite schema. That schema that's outside your website. Then there's social. That's a big massive ranking factor, because now mobile is the predominant traffic is coming on mobile, and a lot of people are interacting on social on mobile. So that's like a huge signal. Then brand searches, things like, are people actually going in and looking for your brand, searching by your brand name inside Google search? Do they already know about you? Are they sort of getting to know you? Are you what kind of buzz are you generating? So that's another big ranking factor. User clicks. Google is tracking every user who uses Chrome anonymously, of course, and you've given your consent to them to allow this to happen. So they've got a patent also out there which talks at length about this. And what they do is they track your user behavior. When you do a search result, you visit a site. If you stick on that site and you don't go back, but that site gives you what you're looking for, and you terminate your search query after you hit close, or you go back to Google and search for something else. If that site satisfies you, then it helps that site rank. Whereas if you go back and you start looking at the other results and you click on other results, then that works against you. So bounce rates are important, and so you want to have minimum bounce rate. When people come to your site, you want them to stick around and engage with your content, and you want them to bounce around your site to different links. So that's important. You should make sure you do that. Your content should be high quality, and it should lead the user in from the page they came into other pages, or it should ask them to do a specific call to action, whether it's an opt-in, or it's a click, or it's participating in a forum or registering. It's important. Have a good CTA. Google was very quiet initially about the data that they were building. When they ran RankBrain, they didn't tell anyone because obviously they didn't want this. They didn't want it to leak out. They didn't want people to get to know that they were being tracked, and the AI was building its seed data set. Sorry, because that's what deep learning is, right? You need a seed data set which is as clean as possible, so it forms the initial pattern, and then they can use that. And then they announced it, that we've been running RankBrain silently for so many years, and now it's being trained, and it's able to identify high quality content on its own just by engagement, by user engagement. So it's able to match the patterns of a new site which hasn't been visited by users as much as and just looking at other signals of that site and compare it to the sites that have a good signal from that seed data. So that's how like AI and deep learning works. It just at a general overall sort of overview, and but it's still a baby and it's growing up, and the more data it collects and the more it keeps tracking all of us and our user behavior, the better it gets. And you can't spam it anymore, right? So that's one of the reasons they kept quiet about it initially, because if they were to like tell everyone that we're tracking you because we want to improve our algorithm, then the SEOs would start gaming it and passing false signals to it. Because all the black hatters would step in and then they would just start messing around with it, and hiring people to stay on poor quality sites and engage with sites which had poor quality and pass the wrong signals down. Then Google wouldn't be able to distinguish what a good high quality site was versus a poor quality site, because the user behavior on both the sites would be exactly the same. So that's why they were quiet about it initially. But yeah, but Penguin is RankBrain is getting better and better with the data it collects. As it collects more data, it's just making it better and more accurate, and it's getting more and more bold. And they're eventually going to obviously go down the path of trying to give the actual query what the user is querying for within Google itself. They will cite the original site maybe, but they want to give the answer out there. I mean, I can see that happening. It's pretty obvious they're going down that path. They don't want people even visiting the website. Maybe they just want them to get the answer right there within Google and move on to the next query. That's a debatable topic, and we won't get into that here. But it just looks like they're heading that way. They will probably cite the site, because otherwise, it'll create a huge uproar. So, with that said, let's move on to the next slide.